Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sitting on the floor today because I am about to film my very first DIY pedicure video, and when I do my pedicures I usually sit on the floor. I love getting pedicures. I feel like they're such a luxury. They definitely get a little pricey and can add up if you're going once a month or so. They're really easy to do on your own, and today I'm going to show you how. This is just the way that I do my toes, the way that I clean up my feet. So I'm going to flip the camera over and we're going to jump right on in. Wait, no pun intended. It's like feet jump. Get it?
Alright, so my toes aren't in the worst shape they've ever been, but they definitely need a little attention and some sprucing up. So my heels are kind of dry, the skin around my toes is dry, obviously the polish needs to be removed, and these nails need to be shaped and filed. So we are going to go ahead and get started by removing the polish that is currently on. So I'm using 100% acetone to do this, and I'm just going to soak a cotton ball and remove the polish on each toe. One of my tips for removing polish, whether it's on your fingers or your toenails, is to hold the cotton ball in place on the nail for, I don't know, at least 10 seconds to just let it really soak into that color and then gently remove it. It'll make the removal process easier and cleaner. Once all of the color has been removed, I like to go in with a clean cotton ball, soak it in acetone, and then go over each toenail once more just to get any polish I may have missed that may be stuck in a corner or in the cuticle bed. Before I started filming this video, I took a shower and used this pumice block to scrub the bottom of my heels, and it just keeps them soft between pedicures. So now I'm going to use this foot file on my heels and my toes and any other drier, rougher areas of my feet to help smooth them out and make them soft to the touch. The bottom of my heels and on the side of my big toe usually almost callus up, so I find myself usually targeting those areas. When I do this, I like to make sure that my feet are extremely dry. There can't be any moisture left in the skin. They have to be super, super dry. I prefer that the skin removes itself in like a powder form as opposed to balling up when it's wet or damp. For me personally, I feel like I get a cleaner, smoother removal that way. So I also have this diamond foot file, which I absolutely adore. It is one of the best foot files you could find on the market. I don't like to use it all the time. I use it almost as a finishing file. I'll go over the areas that I filed with this once I'm done, just to really finish them and soften them up. Sometimes I'll use it on my knuckle. What is that called? The knuckle of your toe? Do toes have knuckles? But where it bends, it tends to get dry there as well. So I use this as a second file. Moving on to clipping. This is probably my favorite part just because I love getting my toenails back in shape. So I just use a regular nail clipper. I don't use a toenail one, which is normally a little larger. And I use this to clip straight across to trim the nails. I like to keep my toenails very, very short. If they're too long, they get stuck on things. They tend to chip or break or get nicked. I don't know if you've ever had a toenail break, but it is pretty traumatizing and they take a long time to heal. So when I keep my toes short, I can avoid any kind of messes like that. Now it is time to push back the cuticles. This stick is a hard plastic cuticle pusher. I love it. It works so well, especially on the toenails. This is one of those steps that you don't think is that important, but we don't realize how much our toes grow. Gently push the cuticle back and expose the regrowth. So after you push your cuticles back, the odds are you're going to notice quite a bit of skin around the nail bed. I use a small cuticle clipper. This one is actually a mini one that I keep in my purse. I couldn't find my larger one, but I actually prefer the mini one for my toes just because it's a little bit easier to work with since the toenails are so tiny. I'll just go and gently clip the excess skin on each toe. Now that the toes are all clipped, it's time to smooth them out. So I'm using a normal flat nail file to go over each toe. I feel like this is easier to use than a buffing cube right off the bat. It helps me get into the little nooks and curves of the toenail and really smooth it out. I feel like my toes tend to peel almost, like they have layers. So it's really important to make sure that you really buff them smooth so that the surface is even. Once I go through each toe with the regular file, I'll go on top of it with a medium to soft buffing cube to finish the job. now it's time to shape them. So taking the regular file, I'm going to start with my pinky toe and give myself a square / squoval shape. I've always found this to be the best shape for my toenails. If it's too square, the corners are more prone to breaking, and if it's too round, I just think that looks weird on my toes. So I'll go through and give each one kind of that rounded square shape. Going back in with that plastic cuticle pusher, I'm going to use it to scrape underneath each toenail to remove any dirt or dust that may have collected or accumulated under there. Kind of gross, but this is part of cleaning the toes and making them look fresh. And I find that the cuticle pusher or an orange stick, anything of the sort, really is the easiest way to get in there and clean them up. Taking a paper towel, I'm just going to dust off each toe to remove some of that dust from the filing, and then I'm going to take some 100% extra virgin coconut oil and use it to moisturize my feet. This might actually be my favorite part, just because I love the way my feet feel once they are moisturized. There is literally nothing better than smooth, soft feet. I do like to do this for pedicures, but if you want to keep your feet really soft regularly, I recommend lathering them up in coconut oil at night and then putting on a really comfy pair of socks and going to bed. And I promise you, when you wake up in the morning, your feet are going to feel incredible. Doesn't it look so good? All right, I'm going to go in and do the second one, and then we are going to move on to the polish. All right, using a cotton ball soaked in acetone, we are going to run it over each nail to remove any oils that are on the toenails so that they are ready for polish. So once you're done with that, it's time for a base coat. Today I'm going to be trying the Sally Hansen No More Stains spray-on base coat. I have never tried a spray-on base coat. It's really an interesting concept to me, but I find it difficult to paint my toenails, so I thought that this might be an easier alternative. I'm going to put my toe separators on, and then using a paper towel, I'm going to cover the skin around my toe and lightly mist each nail. I have to say that I really love this spray-on base coat. It does look a little messy and it does get all over the skin, but it doesn't get sticky and it dries on the nails almost immediately. So I'm a huge fan of this product. Moving on to color, I am using this Morgan Taylor polish. It is a light pink from their Selfie Summer collection. It's called All About the Pout, and it is honestly the most beautiful toe polish for summer. It looks so great with a tan. I've been wearing it this entire season. So I'm going to start applying the first coat of color on my pinky toe. If you happen to flood the bed, which is very, very common when you're working with a larger brush and tinier nails, just use an orange stick or your thumbnail to clean it up. I find it's the easiest way to do so. And then just work your way through all 10 toes. Once that first coat of color is pretty dry to the touch, we're going to go through and do a second coat. Basically just do the same thing that you did on the first round of color. Definitely clean it up as you go along. It'll make it easier at the end. All right, after 2 coats of color, they look pretty darn good. I did my best to clean up as we went along, but before I put a top coat on, I am going to take a Q-tip, dip it in some acetone, and clean up around the edges just a little bit more, being very careful not to touch the nail. Keep the Q-tip on the skin. The acetone should pick it right up. Don't worry about getting every single little bit. Any of the polish that is left on the skin will come off in the shower or within a day or two. You can always go back in later and clean up a little more. Moving on to the top coat. This is the INM Out the Door. It is one of my favorite fast drying top coats. The consistency of it is ideal. It's thick enough, but it's thin enough, and it doesn't clump. I've never had to toss an INM bottle. Their formula is just top notch. So I'm going to apply a thin coat of this onto all of my nails. I love using this on my toes because I know that they will be dry upon completion. Once the top coat has had a second to dry, I'm going to take the Sally Hansen Vitamin E Cuticle Oil and apply a little bit to each toe to just rehydrate the area and finish the pedicure. And that is pretty much it. I'm gonna zoom out really quick and you can kind of see the mess that I am working in right now. I was sitting on the floor like you saw at the beginning and there's just stuff everywhere. But let's zoom in on these toes. I could not be happier. I think they look amazing. They are clean, they are cut, they are shaped, they are filed. They just look awesome and I adore this color. Honestly, if you haven't gotten your hands on this Morgan Taylor polish, you should really consider investing. It's just one of the most perfect pinks for summer and I couldn't be happier.
So it's like 1,000,000 degrees in here and I am completely melting, but we got it done. That's how I clean up my feet and my toenails at home. I'm not as particular about my toes as I am about my nails, so when it comes to the cleanup portion, I do my best to clean up around the edges. The best thing about toes is that they're so far away from everyone's eyes that you really can't notice any little imperfections, and to be honest, they're going to clean themselves up between the shower,
walking around in flip-flops, going into the water, pool, the ocean.
You don't have to be too concerned about making them look 100% perfect. But to me, these look great. They feel just as good as they would if I went to get them done at a salon. I'm so happy. Honestly, the only thing I want in the world right now is a big glass of iced tea, so I'm gonna go pour myself that. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. As always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you again for watching and I'll see you next time.